Hello everyone, welcome on Techies on Wheel. Today we will discuss about one of the most important document from the technical purview in the RPA journey, which is your solution design document. We also call it as SDD. This video is going to be a complete guide onto your RPA solution design, what, how, and why of solution design document. So let's get started. Like everyone knows that before you design a document, there has already been a discovery phase which would have taken place, onto basis which a conclusion would have made upon the feasibility of the process, that yeah, this process is feasible for automation. Once that is done, there comes the designing phase where a solution needs to be designed at how the bot is going to work and actually what all components are going to be involved onto it. So if you want to refer onto the phases of automation or the RPA lifecycle, you can refer our previous videos, which are there on our channel. Also, if you want to know about the discovery phase, we have a different video for it, and designing phase. But for this video, we'll keep our content related only to the solution design document. So solution design document is a part of your designing phase and is mainly a document from the perspective of technical end. It is a comprehensive, detailed document which talks about how your solution is going to flow from technical purview basis your process design document, which you would have earlier gone through in the assessment phase. So once you have that assessment phase documents, everything is jotted that these are the functional steps which needs to be performed to achieve this task. You need to decide that what are going to be the steps which will be considered within the bot flow, how the actual flow is going to look like, how the bot is going to perform, what is the input, what is the processing of the bot, and what is the output out of it. So everything needs to be carved out clearly in a document to which we refer to as solution design document. This document is very important because this is the base and setup for development, testing, and deployment phase along with your PDD. So basis PDD, your solution design document is prepared and is referred by developers for their technical purview. Now let's look at what all details the solution design document contains. Your SDD mainly includes the information around a to-be process. So in the PDD, we have as is process, how the actual process is being done as of now manually. However, your solution design documents talk about how the bot is going to perform those actions. So there might be that today Excel, there are a number of Excel operations needs to be done. Maybe say, for example, let's take an example of reconciliation where you need to match details of two Excel sheets and you need to remove detail basic, reconcile details basis matching details. The manual step as of now to be followed, which is being followed in the as is process, is that someone might be using formulas like VLOOKUP or some other manual stuff they would be doing to reconcile item. But technically you would, or solution architect may find that database could be much easier and feasible solution for this process. So that is going to be process that the Excel is first loaded in database and then the activities are performed from there onwards. This is where to be process comes in picture. Then the next one is your applications involved and their integration details. So it also needs to be very clearly carved out at what all applications are involved in your process. And other integration, if you're looking for example, database. So that integration, how it works like, what are the details of integration of database with your application or the APIs if you are using, everything needs to be mentioned clearly in your solution design document. Then comes your data structure, where your everything in detail of your flow, the connectivity, the actual structure which you are using within your process needs to be carved out clearly. And then the log structure, which are you talk about the basic logs which are being used in your process, maybe audit log or the process log or any other exception log if you're maintaining, everything needs to be called out clearly. Then the other, which is again most important one, is the assumptions, that if you're not aware of certain pointers, it is not clear yet, and you are still building the solution basis assumptions, you need to clearly call out so that in future, if the things changes basis your assumption, it is different from that, this should be approved by the client, that if these things changes in future, solution might get impacted and may need a revision onto it. That is where assumption phase comes very useful, to be signed off and clearly called out to the clients and the functional persons as well. We are talking a lot about solution design document, but why is it so important? It becomes very important because it acts as an agreement between the customer, business user, solution architect who is actually building the solution design document, and the RPA developers for how the actual bot would look like, how the bot is actually going to be designed. And this is why it becomes very important that the solution design document should have all these details clearly called out at the beginning itself before the development phase get initiated. Now let's have a look on the detail of how exactly the solution design document look like, what all are the details on the minute level, and how do we prepare it. So when we talk about solution design document, like I previously told, that there are certain things, certain information which needs to be captured clearly in our solution design document. So in the left-hand side, in the navigation pane, you could see that like any other document, we have document control section. Then we have introduction of the particular document, the process overview, assumptions, validations, application involved, then the process design document, reference of it, high-level to-be solution, hardware and software requirement, infrastructure architecture, the bot framework, and any other detail you want to capture, you can be jotted in appendix. So let's have a look in detail on all these pointers. I am referring this particular document in the read mode just to make it more readable and more easy to view. The UI UX can differ, designing could differ organization to organization. So we will focus on the content of it rather than going in the visualization of it. So in the left-hand side, you see this is the first page, which generally talks about what is this document. This is a solution design document, which customer you are preparing this document for, and what is the process name, along with the version of it, the solution design document. Then you have the table of content. Again, the pages may vary if you want to add some more content, some more details onto it. It can absolutely change as per your requirement, your organization. But table of content is something which is utmost important. These are again the details we already discussed. The document control, which has author details, version control, document review. Similarly, each and every details we are going to look in detail. So let's get started. The very first topic, the very first index talk about your document control, in which we generally have subcategories like author, that who is the one, the solution architect who is preparing this particular document. So the date, name, and the role will go here. This may additionally get modified by developers going ahead. So the name of developers will get jotted here. Along with that, this is where the versioning comes important, that the first draft version would be prepared by solution architect, where the designing of it could be clearly called out, but this may get revised going ahead in the development phase. So the versioning might differ at the time of development or while the process is getting developed. So the versioning can differ and needs to be reviewed and signed off accordingly. So whenever a version is changed or revised, it needs to get signed off by the client as well. Here comes the document review and sign off section, where the date, approver name, project role, and the signature of the approver should be there. This is a kind of signature, a document you are, which is acting as an agreement between all of the entire team members. Next section talk about the introduction of the document. Here comes the purpose of this document, that what is the actual purpose of making this document. This generally remains generic to the document, and organization to organization, the English may vary, but the content of it remains same. Then we have process overview, where you talk about that if in case your process has say 10 steps, and while in your technical feasibility analysis, you figured out that there are two steps which will not lie in the scope of RPA. You need to clearly call out that what is the in scope steps of RPA and what are out of scope steps of RPA, so that it becomes very clear at the beginning itself that, okay, these are the only one which will be in scope for the bot to be developed. And these are the out of scope steps which are not to be included in the bot scope. Simple and clear and crisp, so that there should be no confusion going ahead related to the bot performance or the bot actions. Next comes the assumption phase, steps where you mention that what all assumptions you are making while preparing the solution design document, and clearly call out that the solution design document may get revised if these assumptions doesn't come true. This there may also be chances that you need to call out that you're assuming you might not have access to your test environments and the production environment at the time of the solution design document. So you can mention that you're assuming that all the applications between test environment or production environment is identical. That is where you're assuming that once this document is prepared, development is based on this document and the test environment, no revision would be required in code going ahead while in the deployment phase. So any such assumptions you are going with, you need to clearly carve out in the assumption phase. Then we have a validation section which talks about that what all validation your bot is going to perform. Say, for example, if there is a file which is a base for your bot to get initiated with, the basic validation certainly would be the file to check whether the file exists or not. If file does not exist, the process cannot move forward. So those are kind of validation where if file does not exist, a email notification or any kind of notification would be sent informing the same. So here comes the validation phases where you clearly carve out what all kind of validations would be performed by the bot. Then comes the application phase, application details, where you carve out what all applications are involved in this process. What is the name of the application? What kind of role it would require for this application to access the particular process page, and the method of login, like whether it's use user ID or password, or it is just a SSO enabled, or does it require any other mechanism for accessing the application. Whatever be it be, you need to clearly call out here, and how you're managing the password if it has a password credentials included in it. So it becomes again at most important to capture all these information. Then if there is any prerequisite for your automation to get initiated with, or the development to get initiated with, any dependencies or any other prerequisite related to your process, you need to carve out, clearly call out everything here. Then if there is any other setup, be it be email setup or any other external party integration, third party application integration, or any other such thing you feel that is important for this application, this process to get developed, you need to mention all those here. This might not be applicable for some of the tool, but again, I'm referring this of Automation Anywhere reference file. So this is kind of email setup we used to do in version 11 and prior. So this is how it looks like. But this again, differ process to process. If I'm not using any kind of third-party integration setups, this can be removed from this document. Next, we have a process design document. This section ideally should be embedded and is recommended to be embed the PDD or any other recording links if available in the solution design document. Again, it's an optional but recommended. Why I'm saying so? That if a developer, being a developer, if I think from that shoe, solution design document is one document which I would like to refer. So if in case I'm developing some process and I want to refer some PDD or some other recordings of it, it would remove a dependency of storing and referring all those documents at some 3 different places. Rather, I'll just open a SDD and I'll have reference of each and every document which would be required from my end being a developer. So it becomes very easy to access everything at the same place rather than making a chaos or more distraction onto it. Then we have comes the more detailed technical designing, actual technical details in this solution design document, where it begins with high level to be solution. Basis your as is process map and what is in scope and out of scope, solution architect carve out as is process. What is going the to be process based on the as is process? What is how the process is going to be, and a flow diagram of it, which comes here in your to be solution description and to be process flow. Then you have hardware and software requirement, which has information around what all environments the developer would be or the entire process is going to interact onto with. What is the machine ID, user IDs of it, the status of it to track whether the action item or accessibility is still open or completed. Everything comes here. You have the bot execution detail, which should be maintained in solution design document onto what is the mode of execution, what is the frequency of it, is there any trigger, licenses, is it a dedicated license, it's a shared license. So if these details also come very handy if, say, I'm a solution architect, I have designed a process, and if I'm designing for a same client a different process, so if I go here and I see that this is a shared license, I can go ahead and I can share the same license for that some other bot as well. But then I would need these informations as well, that what is the bot utilization? What is the frequency of run? What time of the day this execution runs? Basis which the decision making become easy, and I won't have to rush to a number of other people who would have been included in this process. Rather, this document will become a reference point for me. Then we have infrastructure architecture, where we talk about the infrastructure, the architecture actually of that, what all is going to involve and how the communication between one application to other application or one system to other system is going to take place. Then comes the bot framework. Bot framework generally talks about what all folders are involved, how the structure of it is involved, how the files are getting flowing from one folder to another folder, how the exception handlings are being done within the bot. So these details of the bot, the configuration file details, maybe where it is placed, what is the path of it, what is the name of the configuration files, what all detail does it contain. So these things comes very handy onto while we are preparing this technical design document. The task flow diagram, that how the task is communicating from with the other task. Say if there is 10 tasks involved in my process, one master task, and then say 9 subtasks. Which is the main task? What is the name of it? What is the purpose of it? What this main task is performing? Which task is called by which task? If this main task calls a subtask and this subtask also calls another subtask. So all this detail I can get from here, from this technical design flow. And the references from here, that which task perform what, can be much easier and handy for anyone who is taking handover from a developer. So being a developer, if I have developed a process and I need to certainly pass it over to a support team post the UAT completion. So at that time, at least I feel something would be handy and can be also used as a handover document or support document for the people to refer the technicality of the technicality of the bot code. I will not have to go again and again if I want to refer on to what task is performing what. I will not have to visit again to the developer to get to know about these details. Rather, I can just refer this document to get any details out of it. And this becomes very handy as well when there is another set of developer who is taking over the current developer. This again becomes very useful for them to refer if in future they want to refer anything related to the bot. So from technical aspect, everyone can count on this particular solution design document. It should be so detailed. Then your My Docs, where it contains detail about what all other external files, folders you're referring, maybe the configuration file you're referring for your bot. So where is that config file placed? Where are those documents placed? If you are using Metabot, so this is again with reference of automation anywhere, but if Metabot is not being used in your process, you can skip it. You can remove this part. If you are using DLL, you need to call, you need to mention the information related to DLL. If there are APIs you're using, you need to mention another section for the APIs. If you're using scripts or external third-party integration tool or any other code, you need to mention here as well that what is that script doing? What is that DLL doing? What is the name of the DLL? So everything helps from the technical purview to understand the solution better, your bot better, what your bot is actually doing, using what functionality, what code. This is where the solution design document actually comes in picture. And this is why maintaining all these details become very important in the solution design document. Then we have log section, which is again very important part of your solution design document, where you talk about it, what all logs your bot actually refers or build while this process is being executed. So if it is an audit log, does it maintain error log? Does it maintain process log? If my bot is a small process, it doesn't require quite a lot of details to be captured. I may, as a process solution architect, I may think that audit log might not be of much importance for me. So I will go with error log only and process log only. Sometimes there would be that no process log would be required. So I may only go with audit log and error log. So again, it will differ process to process, but ideally as a standard, we recommend to use all these kinds of log just to help trace any error or exception encountered in future in a better manner. So this log sections help to visit and get detail on where this file is placed. What is the audit log name? Where can I find it? What all are the details which this particular audit log captures, and what is the format of it? If I want to refer the document, the audit log, I can just certainly come here and I can get any detail related to that document, which will help me understand this log better in this solution design document. And then the last section which talks about is your appendix, where any other information than the one which you have already mentioned in solution design document, you want to mention just for the better understanding of the process, you can certainly mention in your appendix section. This may also have details of the abbreviations or any other detail you would like, or you think that this will help anyone who is referring solution design document understand the process better. You can just mention over here. So this is how your solution design document look like. And these are the utmost at high level, the minimum requirement a solution design document should capture. So I hope the detail of the solution design document would have been clear by now. So let's look on to what next. In our next session, we'll talk about the RPA coding best practices, which is followed throughout the industry, basis the industry standards, and any certain tips and tricks around it. So till then, stay happy, stay healthy, keep learning and keep growing. Thank you, everyone.